All right, so I just have a block, like a Dura block like this. You can get these in any hardware store pretty much. I think I got mine at, might have got mine at Walmart or something. I forget, but we use these at work too. We usually just order them from our local supplier. But anyway, take your block and you're just gonna sand more of that. And I'm trying not to, the frets already had a bevel in them, so I'm trying not to bevel them anymore at the top. So I'm trying to keep it down toward the bottom of the fret. I don't want to roll it over too much at the top. So now I'm just blending it over. This neck is aged because it's been sitting around for a while, so it's got some, you know, sun aging and stuff. Basically tanned. Probably put some oil on it too to kind of protect it over the years because it's just raw wood. It's got like a coat of oil on it, so when I sand through, you kind of see that. So basically, just kind of blend it over. You can kind of see it kind of rolling over a little bit. So that's the idea. You can see where you sand through the oil or the aging, the tanning of the wood. Anyway, this isn't the best video, but I'm just trying to get some I'm just kind of blending it out right now, making sure you don't see the transition between the bevel that I put into it with the flat block and the rest of the neck. So you're basically just trying to create a gradual, smooth roll, rounding that over a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty hard to see, but you kind of see it taking shape. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably too much light. It's too bright. You can see a little bit right there. That's all going to get blended out. So for the most part. So, excuse me for a second. That was 220, so now I'm just getting some 320 that I'm gonna use and fold up. So now I'm using some soft back paper, some soft back paper, so it's not quite as stiff, so it's not going to cut as much as the adhesive backed. You know, it's got a little bit thicker backing on an adhesive backed paper, so this is a little bit softer. So what I'm going to do is going to cup it, this piece in my hand, I'm going to cup it. You can also put this on a foam, like a foam pad or something too. I just usually do it like this. I have some old paper laying around, so I'm just kind of rolling it over and kind of keeping it flat with my hands. And just kind of blending it out like this. See, I'm kind of holding it around the neck. So when you're doing this kind of stuff, obviously it's easier to work on something you're practicing with, like an old neck, or you know, something that hasn't been done before, like a brand new neck that's never been done. And you can kind of do it the way you want to. If you're working with a pre-existing shape or a pre-existing width, then you got to take all that stuff into consideration. But when you're actually making a neck straight off, you could make it a little bit wider to kind of accommodate to, you know, to give you a little bit extra to work with if you want to roll the edges a little bit more than standard. So if you look at it now, you know, you see a lot less of that transition there. So that's the idea. You're just kind of rolling it over, blending everything over. Sorry for the close-up of my mouth, but it's going to have to do. See, you don't really see too much of a transition anymore. And that's the idea. That's going to get less as it gets finer, and you know, you're going to do fretwork on it and stuff, because this hasn't even had the fretwork done. It had a looks like a refret, so jumbo fret wire on it. So I pre-blackened the extra jumbo. I pre-blackened it. It's just a nickel silver fret wire, so no stainless on this one. This has been around a while, before people started to even use stainless on fret wire. So I just put some black marker over the top so you can see that. Anyway, so that's that right there. What I do is I have a file like this. So, you know, it's a pretty fine mill file. This edge is ground flat and smooth, so there's no cutting surface on this edge here on the side. So if I don't want to cut into anything, I can use that against it. So what I'm going to do, probably pretty hard to see this, but I'm going to basically take the file and kind of blend into the edge. So just like this. And again, you don't want to go too extreme with this, because then what will happen is you're knocking the wood off, but you're not touching the fret. So it leaves the fret maybe at less of an angle, and you're actually knocking in more of an angle into the edge. So you got to watch that too. You want everything to kind of blend and match together, so that way when you're, you know, you're running your hands up and down, you don't feel a difference between the fret and the edge of the fingerboard, the rolled edge or anything. You want that kind of all rolled together all the way up and down. So that's the idea. So I usually do about a millimeter and a half, 2 millimeters on this part. And again, this is just about transitions and creating a, you know, a transition there. It's really hard to see, but you can kind of see a little bit right here. You know, it's nothing super major, but you can see how this is sharper on this edge right here, and then this is starting to get rounder right here, and you can actually feel it. You're breaking that edge right here. So that's the idea, and that'll get sanded out and everything, but just a little bit of that. I don't have a fast forward feature. I probably just can do that on a video editor, but again, I'm a little bit tech challenged. I don't have as much time on my hands to you know, research all that and put all the time into editing and stuff, like, you know, a lot of the guys who are doing this a little bit more regularly than I do. You know, I don't know how they have the time, but they must not have anything else to do, probably. I guess it's when it's your job, it's a little bit easier to find the time to do that, right? So anyway, now that I have a little bit of time on my hands, I'm just kind of going through some of this stuff, thinking about it, kind of showing you a little bit. So basically that's the idea. Again, you got to be careful with how far you edge these over. Say you're already about 42 millimeters at the nut. As far as your nut width, your fingerboard width here, about the first fret or whatever, and you edge that over too much, then you run out of playing surface, and you got strings slipping off and everything. You got to just keep that in mind. Sometimes it helps to see a guitar that's already got its strings on there. You can kind of see how it sets up, see what the string spacing is, see how much room you have on the edges, so you can tell, you know, on your two outer strings, your E strings, whatever, how much room you have to work with, and then you can go from there. Gives you an idea that way if you're working with a neck that's already on a guitar. Otherwise, you know, you just have to measure stuff out and know how much room you have, you know, to work with that. You can check with the nut or whatever, kind of see, you know, how much you have to work with. You know, you don't want to be slipping off. That happens sometimes. Guys will end up rolling their edges too much, or knocking that edge of the fingerboard in a little bit, and end up their guitars on the high E's, you know, they're slipping off and trying to do pull off stuff and everything. But so you just got to watch for that. So that's basically the idea. So just kind of breaking this edge, getting this soft. At this point, what I would do, I'm just kind of knocking the fingerboard over, rolling that edge over there. So I'm putting a little bit of a chamfer in there, right up to the edge of the fret. And you know, there's blending and stuff. What's going to happen? I'm going to use another little sanding device that I use for this kind of stuff to break that edge and kind of round that over. You might get into an area where your file won't fit. You can grab a smaller file if you have one, or you can just scrape that. A lot of times I'll take a razor blade and you know, scrape the edge over, roll it over rather than using a file. And I will grab a fresh blade and show you that. Okay. There you go. So, you know, a number 11, you know, single edge razor blade. These are sharp. They're not as heavy duty as the you know, standard utility blades that go on a knife, but these are a little bit more precise, a little bit sharper too. They cut a little bit cleaner, leave less chatter. So what I would do is basically, if you can see this, I don't ever do anything one-handed because then the blade's bouncing around, so I always do it with two hands. So I'm holding it with both hands, and I'll set this up a little better if I can. So for example, if I'm scraping, I'm holding it with two hands like this. So you're holding the blade steady and it's not skipping around. I see some guys kind of doing this and going over stuff, and it's just basically the blade skipping around, and they're not really getting a firm bite on it. So it ends up leaving chatter marks and it doesn't look quite as clean. You don't have as much control over it. So I usually do it two-handed. So holding it like this. So that's basically the idea, you know, rolling it over like this. I'll do this in the higher frets where the file doesn't fit, and then I'll switch back over to my file and do it that way. So again, I hope everybody's staying safe and they're finding things to do in this time right now. It's not easy. You know, a lot of companies are shut down right now because of this, and you know, everybody's trying to do what they think is right as far as not be out there in public and everything and infecting others and possibly spreading it to people who could die from this. And you know, a lot of people my age are getting it, so kind of scary, but you know, we're all trying to deal with this together and stuff. So just got to try to do what's best for everybody, and some of it might seem overboard or overkill, but really when you look at what's happening, you know, we're trying to get a handle on this before it gets out of control. Some people think it's a hoax, or you know, but I just know too many people who have gotten it who are otherwise, you know, usually healthy, and they're in ICU, so they're in the hospital. And Will Carroll being one of them from Death Angel, I'm sorry. I saw Gary Holt's post. They're all from the same camp. They're all from the same, you know, they're all friends and, you know, basically family members. So Will Carroll from Death Angel. It's kind of crazy. They're in Europe, and he ended up getting sick. So he's in ICU. So keep him in your thoughts, prayers, whatever positivity you can send his way. You know. So just kind of rolling this over. It's not going to be real drastic because I didn't have too much to work with. So I'm just kind of breaking this edge, kind of breaking it in. You know, I don't know if you can see too much of it, but you can kind of see it taking shape, kind of rounding over. Kind of see it right there. It's kind of rounding. So it was once a sharp edge, you know, sharp to the touch. It's now feeling rounder and broken in and worn in. Like I said, as you sand that and blend that, it's going to get even better. So that's the idea. I'm kind of hitting the frets a little bit. You can kind of hear it, but I have to do the fret ends anyways because, like I said, these frets weren't ever done. And I can show you a little bit of that. You can use the same file to kind of roll these frets. You don't want to dig into the fingerboard, so that's why you have the edge that's been ground out, so it's clean and it's just a smooth edge writing against the fingerboard right now. But I'll kind of show you what the fret looks like if you can see it compared. So basically, it's kind of hard to focus in on it. So that one's not touched. You can see it right here. So that's what I'll be doing to all of them. I'll show you what I'll do is I'll show you how to sand it out and kind of what it'll look like as far as the rolled edge, how it should look when it's done. Okay. So I have a dowel with a foam on it. So it's basically just a 1/2-inch wood dowel with some foam and adhesive foam. You can use whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly that material or whatever. But so what I'm doing is I'm sanding this so it kind of blends everything together. And I'm just moving the paper because you can see it gets worn. So I'm just kind of moving it to a spot that hasn't been touched yet. Kind of roll that over. Again, I haven't done all the fret ends, but for the sake of time, I just want to kind of show you. As far as the rolled edge, that was the main focus of this video. And you can kind of see it taking shape by doing this. And I'll do this up to like 1,000. So this is 220. You know, you start with 220, go down to 320, and then take it to 600. I just have I have some right here. A little bit finer. So you can go a little bit slower. I'm used to doing stuff fast, so I'm just gonna take some super fine, so you can see it. Polish it up a little bit, but yeah, that's feeling pretty good right there. So that's the idea. Just you know, you have to do this stuff and kind of practice. So if you do this kind of stuff, you do it with something that, yeah, where this fret got rolled over, where I shaped it with the file. This is feeling really super nice, smooth. So I might be able to see a little bit of that edge right there. Get out of the shot. So that's it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.